Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our next guest joining us here today, Andilyn Jenkins. She's the owner of her own company and life coach at Life Coaching with Andilyn. And by the way, the website is withandilyn.com. Let me spell that. WITHANDILYN.com. Hello and welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Well, pleasure to
Lovely to
have
be
you
here.
here. It's same here. And where are you from? Tell us a little bit about where you're from and tell us about your company in short. And we'll dive into details, of course.
Sure thing. Yeah. So I live in Southeast Idaho, and a little bit about my company. It's life coaching, usually one-on-one life coaching, coaching specifically Christian married women who have suffered from betrayal.
And that happens to a lot of people. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to hear more.
So many, so many more than we would realize. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what is the weather like right now in Post Falls, Idaho?
Yeah. Here, it's cold and
Really?
really, really windy. Yeah.
I've never been to your state. I hope to one day. I want to travel everywhere, but I didn't realize it was chilly now. What temperature? Just curious.
You just never know. I mean, I guess we're barely getting into June, but May is just a crapshoot.
All
So
right. Well,
you
good to
you
know.
just never know.
All right, so don't come in May or June. Well,
That's
it's
right.
time to evolve, as you say, just begin. So what we're going to do is, first and foremost, before we talk about, the work that you're helping people with these relationships and the trauma, I would love to find out more about you. So would you mind starting off by just telling us, obviously where you're from? I read that you have 3 kids. I'm shocked. How old are they?
My kids are 13, 10, and 7.
God bless you. And you have a dog.
Yes, my Labrador. My kids joke that he's my favorite child, and they're
Right?
probably
Oh my
not
God. I
wrong.
have a seven
So,
and 9 year old. My goodness. So I get it as a mother, but it's amazing what you do. I want to find out, what brought you into this field? Tell us a little bit about your background, if you don't mind, to start.
sure thing. I started out in sales and I found a real affinity for coaching my team. I didn't like the sales. I mean, I was good at the sales, but I didn't like the sales as much as I liked coaching my team to hit their goals. And that's when I really discovered a love for psychology and a love for self-help and coaching. And the more that I started to go down the rabbit hole into that just world of all of the things life coaching, that's when I discovered a love for it and haven't looked back. So,
Now, I read that your parents were entrepreneurs, right? So your
yeah,
parents are
that's
very
right.
supportive of you working and having a full career.
Yes, oh, very supportive. I love my parents, and it was great to grow up in a home where what we saw is, hey, whatever you could dream up, that's what's possible for you.
Got it. Well, have you had any hiccups along the way?
Oh, of course. I feel
Yeah.
like every other day it's, did I really pick the right path here? Is this really what I should be doing? And then you get on a call with somebody and you help change their life and you go, oh yeah, that's right. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. But there's hiccups every day.
And now you've been married for, was it over 15 years, I read, I think?
Yeah, that's right. 15
So
years.
you have the secret to success.
Oh, you sure?
Well, clearly you know what you're doing because you're helping so many. So I would love to hear a little about why you're out here choosing to help specifically married Christian women.
hmm Yeah, which I identify as well, right?
Hmm.
Here I am, a married Christian woman. Um, I think the reason that I chose to go in that vein is it's the social circle that I run in. And what I just kept seeing over and over again is women who are suffering from betrayal, usually at the hands of their married spouse, whom they love and trust, and and that they want to make things work. And so, because they want to make things work in a society that often doesn't necessarily lend itself to people talking about the nitty gritty,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so they feel like they have nowhere to go. There's no support group. when the reality is that every other person they run into is dealing with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want a place where they can talk to people, where
Yeah.
they can connect, where they can find some understanding about what they're going through and get led through it, because it's not a mystery. It's no great mystery. And yet we feel like we can't talk about it, because if we talk about it, we're throwing our husband under the bus, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
not true, but that's the lie that we tell ourselves. And so uh, this coaching has flourished in that vein and just helped women figure out that what they're dealing with is really just a catalyst for a new and beautiful life, a new chapter, and it can be very exciting.
Well, I heard on your 5 minute show, your podcast, that you focus on personality typing in your coaching. Could you share a little bit about that and how that helps you with women who are managing, this type of stress that we also can endure?
Yeah. You're totally right. The personality coaching really comes into play because what happens with these women that are dealing with this kind of trauma is they realize that they've been ignoring red flags. Okay. And it goes into like this shift of mentality where they start to wake up to their own sense of self. They wake up to their intuition. They wake up to their desires. And they start to look at their life from a brand new, clean lens without the fog.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find with personality typing is if we can help them lean into their own innate personality and go after the things that are really important to them, they gain traction over their lives in a way that they couldn't before. And they tune into their desire. And I believe that desire is foundational for positive change and building the life that you want. But you have to listen to it. You have to learn how to listen to it. We're not used to listening to our own desire.
Got it. Well, thank you for that. Interesting. Well, also, let me ask, you've been doing this for how many years specifically now?
Oh, I mean, I started in sales, so I've probably been doing it for a decade, but
Okay.
officially as a certified life coach, about 5 years, I think.
Got it. All right. So, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the suffering, some of the betrayal, and about this specific type of awakening? And what would you say to someone who's going through this?
Yeah, someone who's going through this, there's a few stages that someone who's going through this kind of betrayal goes through. And some people will call it betrayal trauma. So if you're specifically looking for help on this subject, well, first of all, you could give me a call, go to my website with andilyn.com and schedule a free 30-minute discovery call by clicking just begin anywhere on my website. But second of all, maybe you just want some reference material. Googling betrayal trauma, looking up podcasts and references for betrayal trauma will help you. Um, but also know that you're going to go through some stages. And stage one, I like to call like getting back to basics. So in stage one, you've just had the rug pulled out from under you, and it feels like your whole world has just shifted in a very negative way. So you don't have to believe when you're in stage one that this is going to be a beautiful thing for you. Like that doesn't feel true to somebody that's at the beginning stages of this. It feels like it feels crappy, right? To put it mildly. And because of that, it's important to know that getting back to basics, rewarding yourself if you just take a shower that day, understanding that if you don't want to get out of bed or if you can't sleep, that now is the time to engage maybe a medical professional for some help to get you your very basics. I know women that have gone on anxiety medication to get them through the first 3 months of coping with their betrayal trauma, just so that they can sleep at night. And that's
Yeah.
excellent. Like get that kind of help because you have to get back to your basics first before
Oh,
you can do any of the kind of discovery work. So if
got
you're
it.
brand new to this world and that's what you're dealing with, then first and foremost, like it's health, it's eating, it's drinking, and know that this is not permanent.
Got it. And by the way, at this time, we must remind everyone, Andalyn, how we can reach out to you. Could you share website, phone number, social media pages, anything of the sort?
Yeah, sure thing. So my Instagram is with Andolyn. my website is www.withandilyn.com. And anywhere on that website, you can click just begin and it'll take you to a Calendly link. And that's where you get your free 30-minute discovery call. It'll be a Zoom call just like this with me. And we'll talk about what brought you to me and what it is about your life that you want to create for your future and how we can begin that work together.
Great. So you do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching too, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So a couple of times a year, I'll actually do group sessions, and those are usually goal focused. And the reason I like to do goal focused group coaching, especially in this vein of uh, women that are rediscovering themselves and waking up to themselves, is goal coaching is a nice way to focus your attention on one thing, and all of your mind limitations will come up as you work towards a specific goal. And when you're doing it with a group, it's really nice because you have mutual accountability and you're working towards something together. So I've done, hiking groups or weight loss challenges or financial goals or manifestation goals. And all of those, even though, betrayal trauma has nothing to do with weight loss, and that might not be your jam, and it doesn't have to be. If you focus on a specific goal, it'll help you to bring up all of the doubts and limitations that are going on in your mind, and then you can apply it to every area of your life.
Got it. Now, also, what would you say to someone who hasn't suffered betrayal but is still kind of going through an awakening in a sense?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It is tricky because we have like as coaches our little niche audience that we tend to work with. And just because my message is specifically for Christian women that are suffering betrayal trauma, that's of course not to say that there aren't people that are going through similar awakenings and they don't know exactly what to do with it, right? And so they're looking at their life and they're going, "Oh, I haven't been honest to myself. I haven't been true to my soul, and I'm starting to realize that in lots of different aspects of my life. Trauma doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that brings that up for you." And that's like this awakening spirit, it's my favorite to coach. It's just so fun. So absolutely welcome, come to me, because that is the kind of thing that we do.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also, wanted to point out, you mentioned some of your own obstacles that you've went through. And did you want to talk a little about the success isn't linear in a sense and discuss that a little further?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in my decade of coaching, I've gone into sales. I've gone into a 9 to 5 job because I just needed to make the bills like get paid, right? I've gone, and then I've gone out of the 9 to 5 job because I've tried to be more at home with my family. And then I've done coaching, and then I've gone to contract work because coaching wasn't paying off. And now we're all the way back in coaching and it's going great. So there's just this rhythm. And if my overall goal is, let's say, to be a life coach, or maybe your overall goal is to be a VP at a company. It doesn't matter what that goal is. Oh, I coached a woman whose ultimate goal was to teach drama at a junior high. That's what she wanted to do, and she was subbing places, and it wasn't panning out. And and it's funny because as we talk about this, and this seems to be the progress for everyone when they've got this ultimate goal, sometimes you look at different stages in your life and you go, "I'm not even working towards that." But the reality is, if you really believe that it's possible to you, all of your roadblocks lead you back to that
Mm-hmm.
ultimate goal. So it doesn't matter if I spent 4 years at a 9 to 5 job writing copy. Like, that was a great part for me. And you know how many things it taught me for my life coaching? So many things. And it's made me more relatable to working women when I'm coaching them. Like, it's given me life experiences. And
Yep.
so success is not linear. It's just not linear. And yet
Yep.
there will be times when you're on this trajectory and you're looking at your life and you're going, "How does this relate?" Right?
Totally. No,
But it
absolutely.
does. it all gets you there.
I get it. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And also for today, can I ask you about some, testimonials, some of your clients? Would you mind sharing, some of how it works when you're guiding someone down this path? And would love to hear some of the, testimonials in a sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I've got, my client that we started off, her awakening was that she was discovering she just wanted something to do for a career that she hadn't really thought before. And so we identified what it was that she wanted to do for her career. And then we started to question when she would come up with things like, well, there's no possibilities for me in my area, or I won't have success here. And so what I do is I just challenge that mode of thinking, and we look at what result is that belief going to get you.
Got
And if
it.
that's not the result that you want, then let's reassess what that belief is to something that you do want in the end. And so that's what we do in our coaching practice. So for that client, she's now teaching junior high theater, and I'm incredibly proud of her and what she's done. I have other clients that have called me because they've gone through betrayal or issues that way, and they've come to me going, I feel like maybe I need a divorce. And so what we do is we look at, I'm thinking of one client in particular, uh, especially as a Christian woman, it is so discouraging to think of potentially getting a divorce.
Oh,
And so, because of that, what they do is they block themselves completely to the idea of a divorce. And then they're just afraid of it. And it's like taking a ball and holding it like a beach ball and trying to hold it under the water. Eventually, that cork pops, right? And the ball is going to come up because you can only hold the ball under for so long. And so, what we do in our coaching session is it's just a safe place. Like, let's talk about what getting a divorce would look like. Why would you want to get a divorce? And then through the coaching with this particular client, it actually turned out she realized, you know what? A divorce isn't what I want for my future. Like, that's not the future that I want. But she couldn't even decide that. She just felt like she was in a prison. Like she couldn't get a divorce. Once she realized she could or she couldn't, then she got to choose, I don't want a divorce on purpose. And it gave her all of her power back. Um, yeah,
now
so
do you
it's just
work with the
a lot of fun.
spouses at all?
No, I don't, or I haven't yet. I would be willing to, but that's not how I've done things so far. Is I've only worked with the woman, and there's some reason behind that. I want to be the voice and the advocate for my client. And so my client comes to me and I am her voice and advocate, which also means I'm a reflection of her thoughts that she's going through. And I have worked with men on the same spectrum. Like, so I've worked with men individually and not with the wife. I've worked with men who have been the betrayer, but not worked with the wife. But because of that, what I get to do is be their advocate, and I can help them with what their desires are and help them lean into those desires. And sometimes that desire is to create a healthier and happier marriage. And sometimes through the course of our coaching, we realize that the partner that they have doesn't line up with the goals and desires that they have for their life. And so, but again, that's never what I'm saying. That's me teasing out their own thought processes and helping them decide what it is that they want.
And I got to ask you about, I was on the website earlier. What is the Magic Monday emails? What do you offer?
Yeah, Magic Monday emails. So the Magic Monday emails are just little thoughts specifically for my demographic, but they're usually personality based or goal focused, and um, they're all essentially it's kind of like an Instagram post, but it's just a little bit more usable than just an Instagram post, and it's help and coaching that you could just put in your back pocket and help uplift you, challenge some of your thinking, and make your life overall better and guide you on your journey to your awakening.
And by the way, with Andilyn on Instagram, that's WITHANDILYN. You wrote a post, to lack feeling is to be dead, but to act on every feeling is to be a child. And that's from someone named Brandon Sanderson. Ooh,
Yeah, that's
are
right.
these some of the positive like affirmations going out? Like this other one says, your dream is valid just because it's your desire.
Mm. Yeah, that one's for me, and I really believe in that one. Yes. Well, first of all, Brandon Sanderson's fiction author, and he's fabulous. So if you're into fantasy, then go check out his books. Um, but that's a king giving advice to a prince. That is the emotion thought, right? Uh, and what I want to teach my clients is to be emotionally mature because that's not necessarily something that we learn in elementary school. And
Nope.
so just because you have a thought in your head that gives you an emotion doesn't mean that you should act on that thought, like just
Got it.
because you have it. And so, yeah. So in the emails, what you're getting is practical use for some of those positive affirmations and thoughts.
All right. Well, what else did you want to share with your listeners? We still have 6 minutes left today.
All right, excellent. Let's talk a little bit more about personality typing in our last 5 minutes or so here.
Mm,
So, in personality typing, what we find is your personality is really just your strengths overused. Okay. Well, I guess your subconscious personality or
okay.
just your strengths overused. So, anyone can have a personality trait that could be potentially become toxic or potentially be have the potential to be their superpower. And so what I like to do with my clients is help them understand that their personality is theirs and it's their own very individual view of the world and what motivates them in the world. And it can also become their roadblocks if they're not looking at their personality on purpose.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the reason I like it so much, and I primarily use the Enneagram, that's
Yeah,
ENNEAGRAM.
I remember that from like school. I think that's where I learned of that back in the day.
Okay,
Yes. And so
that's
that's,
super cool.
oh my gosh, I do remember that word. That's the first time I've heard it in a long time. How,
Yeah, it's that's my favorite one to use. I like the Enneagram. It has 9 different personality types, and they're all just a lens that we each individually use to view the world. And so one lens could be the individualist, but another lens could be the helper. And another lens could be the peacemaker because they strive for internal and external peace at all costs, right?
yep.
So if we take the peacemaker as an example, okay, that could really be a superpower. The peacemaker, right, is someone who invites peace into their lives and gives other people the option of peace.
Aw, love that
So
part.
I know, right? That's a real superpower. You love to be around those kind of people.
Mm,
However, the peacemaker overused when it becomes almost toxic to yourself or to others is when you strive for peace so strongly that you start to ignore conflict in your life, right? And so maybe you're ignoring your spouse because your spouse is inviting conflict or chaos into your life, and you would rather
yep.
not talk about it and you zip up and you become emotionally unavailable because you're striving so hard for peace. You end up
Yep.
ignoring life's problems that could really become catalysts for positive change in your life. But, if you're a peacemaker, you're maybe change averse.
Mm,
Uh, so, what we do with this personality typing system, especially for women who are going through this awakening, is when we identify what their personality type is, we can help them have some tactile information and tools to lean into their own personality.
got it.
Uh,
Yep.
I had I had one client who her personality type was the performer, And she really sought validation from others
Mm-hmm.
because that was something that made her happy. And she always saw that as a negative trait about herself. And so she would just beat herself up for wanting a friend to say, wow, good job on that. And what we got to do is teach her in coaching and say, there's no shame in wanting positive affirmation. In fact, we planned it into her life when we knew that she would be going through hard things. We said, okay, now you're going to be doing this. We know based on your personality type that something that will be very important to you is positive affirmation from people around you. So, how do we build that in? And then it created more motivation and success in her life because of it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here, for joining us and talking about the work that you're doing. Would you mind sharing again how we can contact you and reach out? You do offer an initial consultation, right?
That's right. Yeah, 20 to 30 minute free consultation. You just book on a Calendly link, and that is at www.withandilyn.com. If you click on any of the buttons that say just begin, then you'll be directed to that Calendly link, and I'll get an email and I'll set up a Zoom with you, and it'll be face to face just like this.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here again, Andilyn, and looking forward to the
Thank you so
next
much.
time we get to connect. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.